28th. First item on the agenda is consideration of the Public Works Committee meeting minutes from January 31st. Any corrections or comments?
For approval.
Is a motion?
Second.
Is there a second? Motion and a second. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the motion carries. Then we've got meeting minutes from our special Public Works meeting on February 8th, where we discussed the stormwater utility, proposed rates and issues related to that.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And all in favor of those meeting minutes?
Aye.
Vote aye. Aye. And the motion carries. Item number 3 on the agenda is consideration of citywide ordinance for boat trailer parking on streets. This has come about as a result of changes to our boat launch policy, which we'll be talking about next. We met recently with DNR officials. They had some concerns about our recent policy of allowing city residents to launch and leave, but not allowing anyone else to launch and leave. And since we're now required to have a season pass option, we felt that it was necessary to address this issue. The season passes that people are going to be allowed to buy allow them to launch, but it's not a guarantee that there will be parking available. And so we really felt like we had to address people from North Hudson, surrounding areas, Minnesota, who come over and launch their boats. They're going to want to launch their boats if they have a season pass, and then where are they going to park? So Tom and I sat down with Chief Jensen, and this is the proposal that came out of it. Catherine's looked at it. It's an ordinance basically that does not allow empty trailer parking on city streets. So in other words, if you launch your boat and you want to go park your vehicle and your attached empty boat trailer, it's not going to be allowed on city streets, and it's not going to be allowed in city parking lots. Tom, anything you want to add?
Just that we've had this for a couple years, that the city residents could launch and leave, and it's something that was important for our residents, that they have an opportunity to launch their boat and at least bring it home and keep it in their yard or whatever. So with the regulations, the DNR regulations state saying that we have to treat everyone equally or fairly, we have to allow non-city residents to launch also and leave, but where the current concerns were, where are they going to park? With all the businesses downtown, we didn't, feel that it was conducive to the good business people to, to have boat trailers and things all over the downtown area. So with this ordinance, we should be able to allow people, if they would like to launch and leave, just that we don't want the trailers on the streets. So.
The other option is to close the lot once it's full. Once there are no parking spots, not allow any more launching. I don't think that would be very popular.
I don't think that's fair to the residents that actually own it.
Mm-hmm.
And where have you put, what was your solution of where are they going to go? Where are these folks going to go? Now, before you answer, but this will allow people to bring their trailers back home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was
Still
the
will.
main
Even to North
intent.
Hudson, or anyone can do that.
Where are you forcing all these out-of-towners? Where are they going to go? You're going to find out real quick where they park it all.
Well, with this ordinance, they can't park on city streets with an empty boat trailer.
So we're going to decrease what we could possibly make?
No, a lot of these people potentially will have season passes. So, they've already paid. It's a question of, are they interested in trying to find somewhere to park? A couple lots have been mentioned, but they're privately owned, and there's a possibility some privately owned lot owners could allow people to park and charge. That's their option. We're not going to tell people where to park. We're going to tell them where they can't park.
Well, against it, I'm trying to think.
Yeah,
where the
no.
heck are you creating another problem elsewhere in the city?
We've had issues in the past. We've had residents complain when people have launched for the weekend, left their boat and trailer in front of their home. maybe they have handicap access issues.
Even on Front Street, we've had that issue on the parking down there. So that would take care of both sides of that
Yep.
issue.
And so we've addressed the trailer parking on First and on Cooley with signage. And we talked about, it's probably gonna be a bigger problem than we want a sign for.
Well, I don't want to sign.
But this, we'd have to have like a major, or like a sign when, as you enter the city. We just want to put a few signs. We don't want to sign the whole city, so we're just, with this ordinance, we're gonna put like our snow plowing ordinance, we'll have that on major entrances into the city, so.
And at the boat launch, right?
And at the boat launch,
Mhm.
yes.
So they know when they're leaving.
Mhm.
Do
Yep.
you have any thoughts?
No, I was wondering the same thing Randy was wondering, are we gonna create another problem? But I don't think we are.
Well,
I think we may be creating an opportunity for some local business owners with parking lots to, if they wanna make a couple bucks, they have the opportunity to do that.
potentially. And the other thought is, someone who doesn't know where they're gonna park, doesn't know what options are available, they may decide not to launch.
And I think we're preventing a bigger problem, and that is, as Tom says, the parking of trailers up and down Second Street in front of businesses and
Yeah.
preventing people from, utilizing the establishments. So
Right.
I think that's a
Yeah,
bigger
comment?
problem.
Do you want to come to the lectern, please, and just give us your name and address?
Thank you. Louise Doby, 1070 Front Street. I'm involved in a nonprofit that has a big run every year, and we're always concerned about overflow parking. And we've asked local churches and schools if they would be willing to make their parking lots available as an option for people when it gets too crowded. And, as a boater, it would be a rare opportunity if the city actually had a map of available, either free or low-cost parking available for boaters when the lot gets full. So that if I or my brother comes to visit and wants to launch his boat, where is he going to park his truck and his trailer? To say, oh, here's a school, here's a church, here's a map of the city where, we have an agreement with these businesses or the school. If he could park his truck up at the school with his trailer, I'd go pick him up in my car and bring him back down to his boat. Or call a taxi, or have a ride share where somebody is launching their boat and the next person takes their vehicle up there and brings them back to the water so that it's out of the downtown area. I recognize that, parking on city streets is problematic. We've seen it on our street as well. And in order to encourage people to come to the city, if you gave them options and gave them alternatives, you could park up at the high school and take a cab back to your boat. Nobody's using the high school all summer long. Their parking lot, it's got huge capacity. So it's more customer friendly to give them options as opposed to say, no, you just can't park on a city street. You're on your own.
Okay, thanks.
Good idea?
We can't, though.
Can't?
No, remember, we can't get into any agreements with anybody. It has to be, they can do it, but we can't be involved in any agreement that's availability of other parking.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great idea, but my first thought is, and Devin, I don't know if you have any concerns about it, or I don't know that we want to start getting into formal agreements with churches and the school district.
There might be, if we're directing them to lots and then something happens.
Right, who's liable, and,
We'd have to look at it, I don't know what the.
yeah. But it's an interesting thought. It's not, doing this doesn't mean we can't do that at some point in the future. But if there's not any other questions, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number, what number is it?
There is
We
no-
haven't assigned it yet until it goes to council,
Okay,
so. I can fill that number in when I get it from
Okay.
Jan.
well, I'll make a motion to approve the parking regulation for trailers.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Again, I'll just say, this is another one of them DNR, I got you things, and I'm sick and tired of the DNR.
They,
You know, if we thumb our nose to them, I saw that they went after the other city, I don't know who it was, but
town of Glen.
what a
yeah.
joke.
Well, the interesting thing is if the launch were privately owned, they don't have anything to say about it. But since it's owned by the city of Hudson, they have a lot to say about it. So, that's always something to consider too, is whether the city wants to continue running it or if we want to look for private ownership at some point. Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
And motion carries. And we're down to item number 6, formation of Hudson Urban Forestry Committee.
Hold on, these are good.
Oh, I missed number 4. Sorry. Jumping ahead. Okay, so you have the new boat launch policy and procedure in front of you. So we've made modifications to, like I said, the DNR didn't like that we had special parking spots for the city of Hudson residents. If people are upset with that, they can talk to the DNR. That was not our choice, and we were not happy with having to make the change. They required that we have a season pass, which is something we've been approached about before, and I think that a lot of residents will, and non-residents will be pleased to see that we have a season pass option.
I'd like to see the city residents at $40. That's where I'm $40 season pass for city residents. I mean, this whole thing with the DNR and what's happening with this boat launch is encumbering our residents. And I think maybe we should just give them a break. And
But then it's gonna, then we have to lower the non-resident fee too, the non-resident.
it has to
daily-
be, well,
Or the non-resident seasonal pass. So right now, we're at 7 and 10. 7 for daily residents,
so it'd
10
be
for
4 and
daily
80.
non-residents.
So it'd be $80.
It's only 1.5 times.
It can only be 150% of,
So it couldn't be 40/80,
No.
no, because that's double. 80's 40.
40/60.
Could be 40/60.
I don't think it's fair to the,
Well, Randy, I think one other thing that we've looked at is what other launches in the area charge. And the other issue is, do we want non-boat owning residents subsidizing the boat launch? I mean,
Tom, do you have any information on what it costs to run that boat launch? Just general.
I just scratched a lot of stuff
Just-
down.
just general
Can I just
idea.
give you, last year, just for the income or revenue that we brought in was, city residents, about $5,300. Non-city residents, about $8,500. And non-Wisconsin residents, $8,600. That was last year.
on an average, last year was an out of average year. We lost money last year, we all know that.
Yep.
just cost, Tom, just cost to run.
I just had a list of things that we generally do. You know, we have restrooms and cleaning. We have porta potties that we rent. Generally, we use the Buckeye Garage so we have the facility down there itself. We have signs that we, like when we have the new ordinance change, we're gonna have to be changing signs. Lighting in the parking lot. The docks, we purchased a few years ago at about $10,000 a piece, so we have about $20,000 investment just in the docks.
And you're looking at adding something to the docks to, you were saying so that they could be moved more easily?
Right now we have to get some kind of a system so we can get them in and out of the water without scraping. We're gonna need some wheels on them, so we're looking at that. The concrete itself for the pad, we've had put the concrete for the launch, put a lot of concrete in there. Then down in the water, we have precast concrete pads, and they're about $10,000 a piece. So we have, $30,000-$40,000 in that. Generally, twice a year, we have one of the local contractors come in with a big backhoe, and they have to bring back the sand. A lot of people power launch or power load their boats. So it pushes all the sand back, which has always, there's a big rut in the, right next to the concrete pad. So we generally have $1,000 a year in that. Last year, I believe we spent about $4,000 just on attendance, you know, for weekends and during the week to check the money box. Street sweeping, we have to clean the parking lot twice a week. Once a year, we paint the parking lot. Generally, we have a full-time person go down, just checks the docks every day just to make sure they're, you know, and we move them in and out according to the water levels. So there's, you know, we have full-time work also. Costs, I kind of just have some rough costs. I know the porta potties are $2,000 a year plus pumping, so we're probably looking at $3,000 to $4,000 a year there. I know the lighting at at the Buckeye Garage is,
I think,
about $400. $400.
do you have a total? I think I get what you're getting at.
I don't have, we just kind of scratched this down yesterday. I don't really have a full total. I'm just kind of at this point.
It says in that DNR letter that we have to abide by those percentages on rates for both, they're both together or none or all, or what?
Okay, so we can go no more than 10 times the daily rate.
For each one or both?
No, so just, we can do no more than 10 times the daily cost for getting in a state park, which is $7. They're talking about potentially raising that. We're leaving it at 7, or we're setting it at 7. So the daily pass for city residents can be no more than 70, and the daily pass for non-residents can be no more than 150% of 70.
Where does it say we can't set the rates differently?
It doesn't. It just says the ratio between the resident and the non-resident can't be any more than 1.5 times for a non-resident, is what it is for a resident.
Okay.
Okay? And we kind of thought, you know, 10 launches per year. There's some people, especially I think some of the guys that fish during the week, they only use it during the week, but they use it a lot. And, you know I've talked with some boaters, and they think that's a pretty reasonable fee. Relative to surrounding launches, it's very reasonable. And so I go back to the question, do we really want non-boating residents supporting the boat launch when they don't even have a boat? I mean, I think it's fair to expect that the people who use it are
I
paying
think
for the
last
cost
year
of
we
running
had,
it.
excuse me, last year we had 170 city resident that asked to get season, or passes.
Identification.
Identification passes, so, we have about, if that's the case, and 170 people are, from the city are, using the boat launch. Maybe there's a few more that don't get season passes, or identification passes, but
And you have to assume if they're asking for a season's pass, they're probably using it more than 10 times. So it's going to actually help them because it'll be less than $7 a launch if they buy a pass.
We don't charge anything for Orange Street launching, do we? We don't recommend it.
no. I don't think you could really get a boat really in there. It's pretty shallow.
I just, it doesn't settle well with me, and I'm not gonna support it, but you can certainly pass it on.
Well, if they buy a pass at 70 and launch 20 times, you're talking about, what, $3.50 per launch, which is better than what the daily fee was last year.
What did you say some of the surrounding launches are? Do you remember what the costs are? Just for comparison's
We've
sake.
done 120 over at, across the river. I think it was 125.
We charge more on the weekends. We're not having a weekly rate and a weekend rate.
And they charge for parking.
It's okay if you don't have it right offhand.
Our first year for season passes, Tom?
I'm sorry?
First year for season passes? We haven't had season passes before, have we?
I don't think we have for a couple of years.
A lot of years. It's many years ago that we had it, I think before 94 possibly.
Do you have any numbers?
Daily rates, they're like $10, 15 on weekends, $12, $10, $15.
And last year when the water was so high, someone said they really raised the rate
Some of 'em-
substantially.
Yeah.
$14, $21 for weekends. Weekends and holidays for a larger boat are $29. They do have, other oversized boats are $55 and $75.
Yeah, I don't think
Most of them don't have a season pass, so.
I don't think this is an outrageous amount of money.
I don't either.
And let's keep in mind, boating is, for some people, it's a sport, who fish, but for a lot of people, they would consider it a luxury item that a lot of families in the city don't even use. So I guess I'm coming from this standpoint, Randy, that I want to make sure the costs are being covered by the people using it. So with that, I'll make a motion that we pass the new boat launch policy and procedure, and then it'd be effective this summer.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, any other comments, questions? All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
And motion carries 2-1. So now we'll move on to the Urban Forestry Board. And, Tom, do you want to talk about this? It looks like you're wanting the group to be made permanent.
Well, I think after last night, hope the presentation went well, and we just kind of wanted to show what we have been doing and the direction we would like to go toward, to make our urban forestry more official, such as like the park board. We'd like to adopt a chapter in the ordinance that we are official board of the city of Hudson.
Okay. Made up of one city council person, the head of public works.
I think that's kind of, I thought we could
Several.
open it up for discussion, but that's kind of what we were looking for.
Okay.
I think the tree board the council member should be an advisory position, not as like this committee. I think it should be like a tourism committee, a library committee. Is that what you were after, or you're after?
Yes.
Well, like
yes.
John Hoggett's on it now,
Yeah.
and so it's
But
similar
it should be
to-
advisory, no, a vote or no vote?
I mean, the park board's set up as an advisory board. I mean, they can't make any financial decisions. That's why
Mhm.
we presented our action plan last night to the
Right.
council. So we worked within our city budget, and that we wanted to show the city what we were gonna do with our operating budget,
Mhm.
so.
I think, Randy, are you referring to just the council member as being advisory, so they don't have a vote on the actual board? They would just sit in on the board, liaison versus.
Correct.
Okay.
Versus a member of the
What
board.
are you thinking in that regard?
I think the citizens have the better grasp of it. We're already, how many meetings are we all at already? Because tourism doesn't have a vote. Library, are you advisory at library?
No, they have a vote.
No, I'm actually on the board.
Okay,
Yeah, you have a vote.
good for you.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's that critical, but someone would still have to be appointed.
Kind of like Utilities Commission, he doesn't vote, he's an advisor.
Plan commission does, park board does,
Fire board
I believe they do.
does,
Yeah.
Whatever.
That's kind of how you have it set up, isn't it, Tom?
I'm sorry?
Isn't that kind of how you have this set up? I mean, when I read this,
Yeah,
there's nothing here that says you have any authority or power, but you can make recommendations.
yeah, and I think, actually, letter A says make recommendations, to the council, so.
Well, I was really impressed with the report last night, and I think it's great that we finally have not finally, but that we're getting a really good handle on our inventory and how to best approach the emerald ash borer issue and make sure that we're being proactive and not waiting for trees to fall before we start taking care of the ones that need attention. So I think this is a good idea. I generally don't like formation of more committees and commissions and the growth of government, but this is a volunteer body, and the information, the expertise I think they bring from the makeup that you have right now, that they bring to this group is,
Yeah, I was
it's
impressed
really
with the
invaluable.
quality of the people
Yeah.
involved in it and their knowledge of forestry.
We have some really good, I
Yeah.
mean, when you get some 2-3 certified arborists, it's really impressive.
Oh,
And
yeah.
They have a desire, they really like our community and they like trees and
Yeah.
they know the value of what it adds to our community, so.
I think if we
I-
could support that, I think that's well worth it.
I do know that when we first talked about this a year or two ago, that they wanted to keep the committee small and to a couple people, but I think it would be nice if we could have at least 4 to 6 people on the board, so that's why we left it open so we could discuss it and get your thoughts.
I think 4 to 6 is a good number. Yeah, I don't like anything bigger than that, but
What, a 3-year term?
Be nice to have if you have a commitment of 3 years and then at least you have the stability for a few years.
What do you think about having 2-year terms and having 6 members that, kind of 3 are up 1 year, 3 are up the next, so you always have some
That's a good idea.
continuity?
You also look at doing an odd number for voting purposes too,
Mhm.
otherwise,
Well, I'm
could
thinking
get
if you had 3 and 3 and then you have a council member, of course, you would make, that would be 8.
Would you want him to be a member of the board though?
Yeah, probably not.
Or just as the direct contact is what he had set up here? You would work directly with the
Mhm.
board, but not as a board member.
maybe Tom, instead of having a council person on this advisory board, Tom could serve that role.
Mhm.
And that they wouldn't have another meeting to go to unless someone really wanted to be part of it.
Yeah, well, I think John's gonna wanna be a part of it. He
Yeah.
seems to be pretty active in this already,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Well, do we like the idea of a 2-year term? The reason I say 2 is sometimes people are reluctant to
2-year
sign on for
staggered
3.
term.
So we'll go for 2-year term,
And,
6 members or,
yeah,
Okay.
6 members.
6 voting members. You gotta put that language in there.
okay,
But we've not addressed the issue of having an odd number. So is the council member going to be, now we've said there's not a council member, so now we're back to an even number on the committee.
Or would you prefer
I don't
a
envision
council?
there being really divided,
You wouldn't think
votes that
so.
are, no. So,
For a council member, Tom? Would you prefer somebody to be on there?
well, it would be nice because then they have a feel for what we're doing and, have some input and,
Okay, and I can support it at the common council.
yeah. So what about 6 citizen members and 1 council member? And then, Tom, you're kind of overseeing.
I think that's the way the park board is. There's a council member on the park board right now.
Randy, are you comfortable with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So 1 council member, 6 citizen members, and then kind of overseen by Director of Public Works and Parks. Okay. 2-year terms, and ideally they'd be staggered so that 3 come on 1 year, 3 come on the next, so that you always have some continuity. Okay, any other discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the formation of the Hudson Urban Forestry Committee.
Second.
Okay. There's no further comment or questions. All in favor, vote aye.
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 And the motion carries. Project update. Dennis?
I don't have a lot to report on other than I'll come back to the next Public Works Committee meeting with an update on Wisconsin Street. Haven't got a lot of updated concrete information from the consultant overseeing that program for WISDOT, so hope to have that by next meeting. And the only other thing was Vine Street presentation last night. And just anybody had any thoughts on that or comments? But I guess at this point in time, it's just the report was accepted and go from there.
I think the report in Vine Street's well done. I think it gives us a real idea of what we're facing as far as capital expenditures and monies to repair the infrastructure in the city. And if you look at it, we're really looking at about $4.5 million to get the streets where we need them. You got a $3 million project on Vine Street, and then you got a $10 million project, $5 to $10 million project for stormwater utilities. So we're talking anywhere from $12 to $15 million of need that we're aware of right now. So I thought it was well done.
Are you looking for any committee recommendation as far as you going back and looking more closely at the financial piece of it, as far as?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think at the end, and maybe at the end of the report with some recommendations that use this report as a guide.
Mhm.
And then obviously it's up to council if they want to go forward or not. And
Because, I'm sorry.
and I attached a schedule that said if you want to go forward, then here's, since it's being an assessed type project, then public hearing and all that, so.
Okay. Yeah, we have some big projects to consider, and we really have to think about how we're going to phase them in and how we're going to fund them.
What did you say the cost for the city would be if after assessments?
With the new assessment formula?
The overall project cost?
I mean, to the, let's say for the city, I mean, take away the assessments and minus assessments and the water portion of it? What does that leave us?
2.65. Because the assessments add up to only about 130,000, and the water department's costs are about 330,000. So, but 2.65.
And again, that's with you doing the new assessment formula.
Correct.
Taking the street out of it, just including curb and gutter and sidewalk.
Right.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to separate Locust Street from Vine Street, but if the overall project's going to be delayed for 3 or 4 years or more, it may make sense to take care of Locust Street separately at the $280,000 level and at least solve one problem if it's going to be delayed that long. And I think it may be, and I realize, Randy, that we'll probably end up paying more in the long run. But you don't look like that it's a good idea.
Oh, no, I was just, I guess, thinking about, for bonding, as we look ahead into the next couple of years. I know last year, we bonded for 2 years. So after, as we consider next year, maybe we should consider doing and that's probably the only project we'll be doing, major project for that, for maybe 2 years, I don't know.
You mean the Vine Street project, the whole project?
And I know we talked about that in our last meeting. We may need to forego some road repair for a year, or maybe 2, to focus on something like Vine Street.
Well, in Vine Street, if we do Vine Street, it takes care of a portion of the road repair
Right.
anyway, so. I really think it needs to get done. I'm in favor of doing it and trying to find a way to fund it.
It's not gonna get any cheaper.
No, it's not gonna get
It's
cheaper.
gonna get
for us, no.
worse.
And as Dennis said last night, the road's just gonna deteriorate more, so it's not gonna get any better.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious we're gonna have to bond for it, and we have to look forward ahead. I don't know if you can get together a projection of projects that you may have compared to this project, and we have to decide, okay, they can wait. Let's go
Well, we
forward.
saw a list at the last meeting, and it came to 1.5 million, approximately. And I agree. And I mean, we need to see everything that you're looking at as far as needs. But at some point, we have to say, a lot of these other things are going to have to wait. And it's kind of like people do at home. If your roof's leaking, you make adjustments in your budget and you find money for a new roof. And I think
Our
that's
roof
kind
is
of where we're at.
leaking.
All right. Anything else, Dennis?
That's it for now.
Okay. Tom, anything as far as an update or?
Like I mentioned last night, due to the lack of snow this winter, that we have had our crews out the last several weeks, doing a lot of,
Don't jinx it for tonight now.
we're ready tonight. We're ready. It's really amazing. We worked so hard to get money for that new snow blower and we haven't used it yet. Gosh, we were hoping maybe we'd get to use it once this winter.
It's going to last another year longer.
Yeah. So, no, we're pretty much ready to go for this tonight. It was very interesting, Neil's financial report on the fuel usage. I don't know if you've seen that in the packet. Looking at last January to this January, I think we were, Public Works was 2,600 gallons of fuel less. And I figured about, $3.50 a gallon was just a little bit under $10,000 saving for 1 month from last January to this January. So that was pretty interesting.
So you guys have been out trimming trees, is what you were.
Yeah, so we've been doing that quite a bit, and
Getting a jump start on spring.
yeah, as soon as, the weather turns a little bit, we'll be able to get going on our sidewalk inventory. It'll probably be first thing we'll do, and I talked to Chuck about that. As he does the sidewalk inventory, I said, as long as you're going down it, we walk every street in Hudson and inspect the sidewalks. I said, at that point, that's when you can be looking at trees and just getting a visual inspection of any boulevard trees also.
Is that one of the factors that they looked at? I mean, if you have a tree that's causing the sidewalk to heave, was that one of the factors at all that the gal that did the inventory looked at? No?
I don't think that was
Okay.
part of it. That is one of the costs of having trees on boulevards is it could do some have sidewalk issues. The other thing is if we plan ahead and put the right tree in the right spot, that'll certainly help. You put a big silver maple on a boulevard that's only 4 foot wide, yes, you are gonna have problems, so.
Okay. Any communications from anyone? I see leaf collection status is on the agenda for next month. We need to start talking about that.
I think you just wanted to give an update as to where it's at, and put it on the agenda if you want to take further action.
Okay.
Just as an update, I think there was some people that were wondering if we were gonna have a leaf collection this spring and next fall. And our operating budget does not allow us to have that, so we have considered to discontinue that. Along with that, we don't know if there's gonna be fundings. Recycling, we generally get a recycling grant.
So next fall, you cut it out of your budget?
This spring also, there's no money in our operating budget to have a leaf collection. Generally, it's about $20,000, $18,000 to $20,000 it costs, and generally we're reimbursed about 50%. And we don't know if we're gonna get any reimbursement for that at all. So we have set up a program with Veolia. If city residents would like to have their leaves collected, it's $90 for the year or $20 a month. So
Did
the
we
city
do the-
residents have that option.
Did we do that marketing for that? Did we get that out there?
You know,
We need to redo that and do it right.
and I talked to someone at Veolia, and I think the reason it didn't happen is we started it in the middle of the season. And she was saying they're going to be doing that this spring, but we need to sit down with them, I think, and make sure that they're aware that we're not going to be doing the leaf collection. The service through Veolia is, like Tom said, it's $90 a year. They give you a large bin. In addition to the large bin, you can put 10 bags out every week. So, I mean, it's a significant volume, and it's what a lot of residents in North Hudson use. You know, we've had some talks with North Hudson, with Town of Hudson. Folks that live out in the country aren't as concerned about leaf issues. I think they let them blow or they burn them.
Well, I'd like to put that back on the agenda next time we talk
Okay.
about it, is a controlled, maybe a monthly burn twice a year for leaves as an option for residents. You know, or twice, 2 months out of the year, spring and fall, you get a 1 month to burn or 1 week to burn your leaves, something like that.
Okay.
Come up with some type of plan. North Hudson
Alright.
still burns?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any complaints.
All right, we can put that on the agenda.
Take a temperature on it.
Anything else, Tom, on the leaf collection?
I think it runs from April to November 30th. It's a 96-gallon container, and like you said, that they can put 10 extra bags per week out there, so that's a lot.
The other option is if you don't want to get service for the whole year, or you don't want to get service even for a month, you can do it on a weekly basis. They still have the
Check the tags.
bag tag deal where you get the bags and the tags, and you let them know, I've got 10 bags out on the curb, or I've got 20 bags out, and they'll pick them up. You want to come to the lectern, please?
Thank you. My name's Sharon Norton Bauman. I live on Front Street in Hudson. And what I'd like to ask you about today are the Japanese knotweed plants, which are very, very prevalent along one portion of Front Street, and I do see them in various parts of the city. I believe the DNR has declared them to be a noxious weed, and there may even be some DNR grant money available somewhere in Madison that could help get rid of the knotweeds. They just spread like crazy. Right now, they've jumped over Front Street onto the median between Highway 35 and Front Street, which that then becomes a county issue. But I've talked a little bit with Tom about this. I just want to make you aware that these Japanese knotweeds are, where they grow, they are taking over large areas. There's even some on Carmichael along that pond that's behind the, I forget what you call that, where Ameriprise is, or where the pizza place is. There's a big drainage pond there. There's some knotweed over there.
Where is that? I'm trying to think.
On Carmichael, just a little north of where Blockbuster used to be, in that building. There's a
Oh,
big drainage
Like
pond.
Culver's area?
Yeah.
Oh,
mhm.
really?
It's south of Culver's. But I've been watching for this Japanese knotweed because I've done quite a bit of research on it, and it is just noxious, and it just takes over wherever it grows. So I just want to make you aware of it, and I know the budget is tight and there's no money for things. But if there were some DNR grant money available to try to eradicate this plant, and it's a major project.
How do they do it, Sharon?
They cut it and then kill the roots with a special chemical, and then you have to do it every year for 2 or 3 years because it comes right back up.
I did speak with Tamara Whitmer about that,
Tammy? Mm-hmm.
and I think there was someone did a study or a research project
Mm-hmm.
somewhere close to this area. So I got that report, and it talked about the chemical and how to do
Right.
it. They like to basically cut it down as low as you can,
Right.
dispose of it properly.
Right.
And then as the weeds, as it gets about this high, then they spray it with herbicide. I did give that report to one of the residents along First Street,
Mhm.
and I have contacted St. Croix County and notified them that they have a small patch on their property too,
Okay.
so.
So that's perfect, Sharon. You can talk to the county board about it, too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I have talked to the highway commissioner about it because I'm concerned that it's growing up in the median.
I did call Randy Gunderson about that too, and let him know that there was some on
Mhm.
the other side of Front Street. on their property, so.
Yeah, well, the other thing about it on Front Street is that it does create a vision barrier for those of us that live on Front Street, because it's growing on a curve. So when you come from the south to the north, you can't see around the curve because it gets very tall. I mean, it's
Yeah,
probably 10, 12 feet tall. And Tom's department has been very good about getting rid of enough of it, so we have clear vision on that curve. But it could get to be a real issue if the stuff keeps popping up wherever. So I'm just bringing it up to your attention so that you
Thanks.
know about it.
Okay,
Thanks.
and
Thank
thank
you.
you. Okay. So we can talk a little bit more about leaf collection next month, or potential burning. Were you on the council when it was
No.
banned? Okay. That was back in the,
Which time?
well, thinking about the mid-90s, maybe?
Because it was on and off
Yeah, yeah,
various times.
okay. All right. Speaking of next meeting, we have another kind of off month with council, in that we meet the second and fourth Mondays next month. And so I'd like to propose that we have our Public Works meeting on Tuesday, the 20th. And so it's not on a morning after the council. Does that work for everyone?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
It's the third Tuesday.
What?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm leaving that Tuesday or Wednesday, so.
Wednesday you're leaving. No, I'm just kidding. I'm
Tuesday
joking.
about 9.
I'm joking. Well, can we tentatively set it
Yeah,
for that Tuesday? And then, if you could let us know if you find out you're not going to be here.
yeah.
I'd like to avoid, I know for Dennis, it's kind of I know.
It's
but We had a
okay.
late council meeting and,
What works best for you guys?
okay. All right, so we'll shoot for March 20th.
It doesn't matter.
And we are adjourned. Thank you.
Oh, you don't want a motion?
Don't need one.
Oh, studying the rules, are you?
Don't need one.
Why don't we?